नमस्कार दोस्तों, स्वागत है आपका कंपटीशन पावर चैनल में। और आज हम आपके लिए इकोनॉमिक्स का बेसिक वीडियो इंट्रोडक्शन यानी डिफिनीशन ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स लेकर आए। इससे संबंधित जानकारियां हैं। कृपया अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आए तो लाइक और शेयर जरूर करें। ठीक है, लाइक जरूर करते रहिए, इससे वीडियो न दे पाने में हम सक्षम रहें, हमारा भी प्रोत्साहन होता रहे। चलिए वीडियो स्टार्ट करते हैं।
Introduction. Definition of economics. The first thing that we should discuss is the definition of economics. Economists generally define economics as the study of how individuals and societies use limited resources to satisfy unlimited wants. To see how this concept works, think about your own situation. Do you have enough time available for everything that you wish to do? Can you afford every item that you would like to own? Economists argue that virtually everyone wants more of something. Even the wealthiest individuals in society do not seem to be exempt from this phenomenon. This problem of limited resources and unlimited wants also applies to society as a whole. Can you think of any societies in which all wants are satisfied? Most societies would prefer to have better health care, higher quality education, less poverty, a cleaner environment. Unfortunately, there are not enough resources available to satisfy all of these goals. Thus, economists argue that the fundamental economic problem is scarcity. Since there are not enough resources available to satisfy everyone's wants, individuals and societies have to choose among available alternatives. An alternative and equivalent definition of economics is that economics is the study of how such choices are made. Economic goods, free goods, and economic bads. A good is said to be an economic good, also known as a scarce good, if the quantity of the good demanded exceeds the quantity supplied at a zero price. In other words, a good is an economic good if people want more of it than would be available if the good were available for free. A good is said to be a free good if the quantity of the good supplied exceeds the quantity demanded at a zero price. In other words, a good is a free good if there is more than enough available for everyone even when the good is free. Economists argue that there are relatively few, if any, free goods. An item is said to be an economic bad if people are willing to pay to avoid the item. Examples of economic bads include things like garbage, pollution, and illness. Goods that are used to produce other goods or services are called economic resources and are also known as inputs or factors of production. These resources are often categorized into the following groups: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability. The category of land includes all natural resources. These natural resources include the land itself, as well as any minerals, oil deposits, timber, or water that exists on or below the ground. This category is sometimes described as including only the free gifts of nature. Those resources that exist independent of human action. The labor input consists of the physical and intellectual services provided by human beings. The resource called capital consists of the machinery and equipment used to produce output. Note that the use of the term capital differs from the everyday use of this term. Stocks, bonds, and other financial assets are not capital under this definition of the term. Entrepreneurial ability refers to the ability to organize production and bear risks. Your text does not list this as a separate resource, but instead considers it as a type of labor input. Most other introductory texts, though, list this as a separate resource. No, your text is not wrong. It just uses a different way of classifying resources. I think it's better, though, to stick with the somewhat more standard classification in this course. The resource payment associated with each resource is listed in the table below. Rational self-interest. As noted above, scarcity results in the need to choose among competing alternatives. Economists argue that individuals pursue their rational self-interest when making choices. This means that individuals are assumed to select the alternative S that they believe will make them happiest, given the information that they possess at the time of the decision. Note that the term self-interest means something quite different than selfish. Self-interested people may donate their time to charitable organizations, give gifts to loved ones, contribute to charities, and engage in other similarly altruistic activities. Economists assume, though, that altruistic people select these actions because they find these activities more enjoyable than available alternative activities. Economic methodology. Economic discussions may involve both positive and normative analysis. Positive analysis involves attempts to describe how the economy functions. Normative economics relies on value judgments to evaluate or recommend alternative policies. As a social science, economics attempts to rely on the scientific method. The scientific method consists of the following steps. Observe a phenomenon. Make simplifying assumptions and develop a model, a set of one or more hypotheses. Make predictions. And test the model. If the model is rejected in step 4, formulate a new model. If the test fails to reject the model, conduct additional tests. Note that tests of a model can never prove that a model is true. A single test, however, may be used to establish that a model is incorrect. Economists rely on the ceteris paribus assumption in constructing models. This assumption, translated roughly as other things constant, allows economists to simplify reality so that it may be more readily understood. Logical fallacies. The fallacy of composition occurs when one incorrectly attempts to generalize from a relationship that is true for each individual, but is not true for the whole group. As an example of this, note that any person can get a better view at a concert by standing, regardless of the actions of those in front of him or her. It is incorrect, though, to state that everyone can get a better view if everyone stands. Similarly, one would commit the fallacy of composition if one were to claim that, since anyone could increase his or her wealth by stealing from his or her neighbors, assuming no detection, that everyone can become wealthier if everyone steals from their neighbors. The association as causation fallacy, also known less technically as the post hoc, ergo propter hoc fallacy, occurs if one incorrectly assumes that one event is the cause of another simply because it precedes the other event. The Super Bowl example discussed in your text is a good example of this logical fallacy. Microeconomics vs. Macroeconomics. Microeconomics involves the study of individual economic agents and individual markets. Macroeconomics involves the study of economic aggregates. Algebra and graphical analysis in economics. This is a summary of some of the most important material in the appendix to Chapter 1. Graphs are extensively used in economic analysis to represent the relationships that exist among economic variables. Two simple types of relationships that may exist are direct and inverse relationships. A direct relationship is said to exist between two variables x and y if an increase in x is always associated with an increase in y and a decrease in x is associated with a decrease in y. A graph of such a relationship will be upward sloping, as in the diagram below. A direct relationship may be linear, as in the diagram above, or it may be nonlinear, as in the diagrams below. An inverse relationship is said to exist between the variables x and y if an increase in x is always associated with a decrease in y and a decrease in x is associated with an increase in y. A graph of an inverse relationship will be downward sloping. If an equation can be written in the form y equals mx jod b, then m equals slope and b equals y-intercept.
वीडियो आपको कैसा लगा कमेंट करके ज़रूर बताएं। अगर आप वीडियो देखते हैं तो लाइक करने में केवल आपका 1 सेकंड जाएगा, तो लाइक ज़रूर करें और शेयर ज़रूर करें। धन्यवाद।